evening, my fellow vampire lovers. The sun is going down, and you know what that means. It's time for me to record another episode of my podcast, The Beautiful Dead. As always, I'm your host, Lena Nazari, and I am very excited to talk about tonight's movie. If you've never listened to me, never watched this channel, massive spoiler alert, I do talk about everything from beginning to end. This is actually not streaming anywhere, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to share any clips, but gosh darn it, I sure am going to try. So at the very least, I'm going to share screenshots, but let's hope I can share some clips because I really want to. If you don't know who I am, my name is Lena. I am a vampire author, podcaster, lecturer. That's what I do. I love vampires. You can find me on Instagram, The Beautiful Dead Podcast. It's also The Beautiful Dead Podcast on Facebook, on TikTok, all the things. You can go to lenanazari.com. You can email me, lena@lenanazari.com. And if you're here because of the books, I swear I am working really hard to get Soren out. The hope is to have it out for fall of 2026 so that we can hit spooky season with Soren, which I know everybody wants. Or check the description in this video, check the video description for a link to my Discord where you can go join myself and the rest of the Fang Gang. We talk every day. We post about movies, TV shows, music, books, our life, fitness, whatever. And that's also where I get a lot of my requests. I don't think this one was actually requested. I mean, over the years, people have asked me to do it, and I've told them, like, I did do it, but it was the first season when I was audio only, and it was a completely different format. We just talked about the rules in the universe. So it is time to bring it back. I thought this was the time to bring it back. So to everybody that's been asking me over the years, you got it. I'm bringing it back. Let's talk about it. It's always fun. I think I've seen this movie like 50 times, but I think it had been a year or so since I have seen it, so I was pretty excited to go back and watch it. So let's talk about it. If you don't know anything about this movie, where have you been? All right, this movie opens in a way to show us that it is meant to be a documentary. So this is a mockumentary style film. And they explain to us that the film crew was sent in with crucifixes and given promises of safety that the vampires would not eat them. We are in a home that is shared by 4 vampires. The first person we see is Viago. He rises from the coffin, aka Dracula Dead and Loving It style, and he goes and he makes sure that the sun is set, and then he goes to wake up his flatmates, Deacon, Vladislav, and Peter. We see Deacon, he's sleeping upside down in a closet, so we know they don't have to be in a coffin. They can just be somewhere without sunshine. Deacon says he turned into a dog the night before and had sex. Then we see a beautiful reference to Bram Stoker's Dracula when we meet Vlad. Sorry. And then downstairs in the basement is Peter, and he's more of a Nosferatu, like classic Nosferatu, or Marlowe from the OG Salem's Lot. That's the type of vampire he is. So that tells us right out of the gate that there are sort of species of vampires within this vampire world. We learn that Deacon is the youngest at 183, and Peter is the oldest at 8,000. We also see that Peter eats chickens, so we know that their blood does not have to be human. So we have like a quick funny little scene, which is them having like a flat meeting talking about chores and doing dishes and stuff like that, which is very funny. It is a great way to introduce the vampires. We learn that Peter is the one who turned Deacon, and we learn that it was through a classic embrace.
And then this creature flies at me. It dragged me back to this dark dungeon and bit into my neck. And just at the point of death, this creature forced me to suck its foul blood.
So they drink from you, you drink from them, you rise as a vampire. We also see that they always have fangs. So whether it's the type of fangs we see with Peter or the type of fangs that we see with the other three, they're always there, they're always present, they're not retractable. Also, we get a amazing reference to Vlad Tepes.
My thing was I would poke someone with implements. I was known as Vladislav the Poker.
When Vladislav says he was known as Vladislav the Poker. And then we get credits. And throughout the credits, we actually get to see like pictures of them over the years. So it starts as drawings and then it turns into actual pictures, which tells us that the vampires can be caught on film. So vampire paws. We've already hit so much stuff, okay? We see that they can fly. We know that they can shift. We know it's a classic embrace. They cannot be in the sunlight. They are repelled by crosses, which is why the documentary crew has crucifixes on. We know that they have to drink blood, but it doesn't have to be human blood. We learn that they stay the same age as when they are turned, because we get a very funny joke from Vlad about him being 16, but being 16 in those times was a lot different. But this is all stuff that we've already gotten right out of the gate. There's different species of vampires, so very, very cool. Also, there's a moment during the flat meeting where Deacon and Viago are like hissing at each other, so we get the vampire hiss and they like rise up. But also when they are fighting or threatened, their eyes change color. So that's another thing we've caught, and we're just a few minutes into the movie. All right. So we learned that Viago came to New Zealand from Germany. He followed the girl that he loves, but his servant Philip messed up and it took 18 months to arrive. So once he arrived in New Zealand, she was remarried. And then he shows the crew a silver locket with her picture and his picture inside. And he has to use gloves to handle it. And then he puts it on and shows it to the crew and it starts to burn his skin. So he has to take it off. So we know that silver burns vampires. The vampires want to head out for the night, but because they can't cast a reflection to see each other, they have to help each other pick out clothes. So we see them like modeling clothes and holding clothes together, and then we see them doing drawings. It's like all the different ways that they try and show each other what they look like with the outfit on, or try and help each other pick out outfits. Then we get some of the best vampire lines ever.
I go for a look which I call dead but delicious.
When you're a vampire, you become very sexy.
In a movie. The amount of times that I have quoted lines from this movie, I'm intolerable, I'm just telling you. So they've chosen their outfits, they head out, but they need to be invited in. So that's another one of the vampire rules. So even though this is a public space, they still have to be invited in. They're trying to find a club that will invite them in.
Have to be invited in to go in.
Like, come into the bar, please. Invite us into the bar, please.
We learn that there are 60 to 70 vampires just in their region of Wellington, New Zealand, and that one of the rules is you have to keep vampires secret. We get to see child vampires who are out hunting for perverts, which is funny.
One of the most...
And then finally, they go to a vampire-owned bar because nobody will... The bouncers are not like going to invite you in. So they end up at a vampire-owned bar to get in. Then we are introduced to Deacon's human familiar, Jackie, who's being asked to find victims. One boy, one girl, both virgins, to be invited over to the house for dinner. Jackie mentions there was a deal with Deacon. He was supposed to turn her, but it's been 4.5 years and he hasn't turned her yet. So we know that they have familiars. Viago explains they need to drink blood, and then we see him with a victim. He's trying to be like really nice about it because he knows that she's gonna die that night, and she talks about like all her dreams of travel, and he's just like, and then he kills her. But when he bites into her, he hits the jugular, so there's just so much blood spraying everywhere. It's so funny. Vlad is outside a house, and he's decided to use hypnotism, and he does the see me, like from Bram Stoker's Dracula.
See me. See me.
But we learn that while he's very good at turning into animals, lately he doesn't get it right. It's like an animal body and a human face. We also learn he used to be great at hypnosis, but now he's not so good anymore. And we find out that something called the Beast defeated him in a humiliating way. And so now he's like not as powerful as he used to be. So then we see him like trying to hypnotize this person. So then he just like knocks on the window and the guy walks over and then he mesmerizes him to be invited in.
See me. See me.
It's the night of the dinner, and Jackie has brought 2 victims. These victims are Nick and Josephine. All of the vampires explain why they prefer virgin blood, and you guys know, like, this is one of the tropes that I hate so much in vampire stuff, and they like use it in a very comedic way. So at one point they're like, I don't know, we drink from virgins because it sounds cool. And then Vladislav has a whole different reason why you drink from virgins, which is pretty funny.
If you were going to eat a sandwich, you would just enjoy it more if you knew no one had fucked it.
The vampires serve room temperature canned spaghetti, which Deacon uses mind control to make Nick think that it's worms.
I didn't realize you enjoyed eating worms, Nick. No.
And he says, we stole that idea from the Lost Boys. Then he makes Nick think that his penis is a snake. It freaks him out. He tries to run, but the vampires chase him. We get some really, really great effects. For a comedy, there are some great effects in this movie. So we see Vlad as a cat. We see Deacon climbing out of Nick's backpack. We see them flying. But in the end, as Nick gets out of the home and starts to run,
oh, no. Peter got him.
Poor guy.
Peter gets him. 2 months later, in one of the best scenes ever in a movie ever, Deacon is doing an erotic dance for his friends when Nick shows up at the window. And I swear this is an homage to Salem's Lot when Danny shows up at the window. Or whoever. Was that Danny that was at the window? Hi, buddy. Look, we have a kitty cat sighting. We don't get that too often. Hi, Norman. What's up, buddy? I'm trying to record my podcast right now. Oh, he does not care. All right. Anywho, Nick was turned into a vampire by Peter. So he's like flying up to the window instead of using the front door because he thinks it's cool to fly. We see now a flashback to the transition.
Having the flu. Except the only difference will probably be that my eyes bled heaps. Are you guys not cold?
So after he's turned, he's gray, he's feverish, he starts to lose his reflection, his eyes start to bleed, he's levitating. So it looks like the turn is pretty horrible and also takes, I would guess, a few days this happened over. But then he was turned into a vampire and now he's, hanging out with the guys. So they all go out for the night, and Nick gets them into a club that they normally can't get into because Nick is young and hip and he's connected to a bunch of humans. And then when they're walking afterwards, I love this movie so much. They pass a pack of werewolves, and we get my favorite thing, which is the vampire werewolf rivalry. Go watch my werewolf episode and I talk about it. Also, we get hissing, which I normally hate when vampires hiss, but it's okay for this movie because they are specifically using tropes for comedy. That's the whole point, so I will allow it.
We were just about to walk past some werewolves, so some shit might go down.
Look out, guys. Don't catch fleas.
What's that, mate?
Hi, buddy. Nick introduces the boys to his human friend Stu, and we see that Nick can already mind control, so it's something that you get right after the turn.
And he can't hear me. So basically, Stu doesn't know that I'm a vampire.
Later, Nick tells Stu he's a vampire. Stu takes it very well, and then we get one of the rules, which is vampire mates don't kill human mates.
Vampire mates don't eat human mates. And no matter how much I wanted to eat him, I would never eat him because he's my mate.
All the other vampires love Stu. He is very popular. He introduces them to the internet, to digital cameras and texting. Deacon's knitting a scarf for Stu. And then he teaches them how to video call. So Viago video calls his old servant Philip back in Germany. And this guy's like in his 90s, easy. And they quickly catch up, but then Philip mentions that he was supposed to be made a vampire, so Viago ends the call. Then we see Viago. He's outside a retirement village, and he's spying on Catherine, the woman that he loved and came to New Zealand for. He's like just watching her up in her apartment. Again, the vampires are out. Stu's out with them. Also, we see that Nick can drink liquor. So the vampires can drink liquor. And Nick is telling everybody that he's a vampire. So the older vampires pull him aside and they're like, you can't tell everyone you're a vampire. You have to keep it secret. But then we just see him like out on the street yelling that he's a vampire. He tells a man at a bar, and this guy at the bar is like, oh, you're a vampire? Well, I'm a vampire hunter.
Vampire, though.
You're a vampire?
Yeah.
I'm a vampire hunter, man.
No, you're not.
And Nick is like, fuck you, whatever, call me. And then he's like out on the street screaming, I'm Twilight. I'm the guy from Twilight. I'm Twilight. And he just keeps screaming Twilight, which is so funny. Finally, Deacon like snaps on him, and him and Nick get into a fight, and then they turn into bats and fight as bats. Later, they're at a diner so Stu can eat, and Stu's eating chips, and Nick grabs one, and the vampires are like, don't do it, don't do it. But he does. He puts one chip in his mouth, and then he projectile vomits like so much blood out into the street. So we know that they can drink liquor, but they can't eat human food. Deacon goes to Jackie's house, and one of her kids is named Akasha.
Akasha, don't look at the man.
Which is so fun. I don't think that I caught that before, or if I did, I forgot about it. But she's a kid named Akasha, so she's like vampire obsessed. Deacon's like, well, you know, I was going to turn you into a vampire, but like Nick jumped in line when he got turned. So now that's going to push you back for a few more years, like maybe even 10. Jackie's so pissed off. And she's like, if I had a dick, I'd be a vampire already. It's a pretty funny scene. Viago scans the little picture of Catherine that he has in the locket. He scans it into the computer and then prints it out big. And then he tapes it to the inside of his coffin lid so he can like stare at her, and then we see the coffin lid bouncing. It's a very, very juvenile joke, but it's funny. The next day they're screaming in the basement, and the vampires open the basement door and they see Peter at the bottom of the stairs, and he's on fire.
Peter! Peter! Get water! Get out of the sunlight! Water! Get water! I'm coming, Peter! Deacon, no, I'm coming for you!
But they can't run down there because there's sunlight in the basement. That's why Peter's on fire. So they have to actually wait. Sir, I am trying to record. Can you get out from in front of the camera, please? Norman. Buddy, come on. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to kick you out. So they have to wait until the sun goes down. And when the sun goes down, they finally go downstairs and they see that a vampire hunter broke into the house through the basement window. Peter came out of his crypt, killed the vampire hunter, but burned in the sunlight. And then we see that the hunter is the guy from the bar that Nick said, I'm a vampire. And the guy's like, well, I'm a vampire hunter. So they are pissed because they're like, you led a vampire hunter to our house, and now an 8,000-year-old vampire is dead because you're an idiot. So Deacon and Nick start fighting, and the sounds of the fight bring cops to the house. So Viago mesmerizes the cops to not see anything out of the ordinary, and then he tells the film crew, like, I'm not really great at hypnotizing, so this could wear off any minute. But thankfully, as they walk through the house, they don't see anything. And at one point, he's like, you know, if they see anything out of the ordinary, this could mean a lot of trouble for us. It could even bring Christians to the house, which is the last thing we need. That made me laugh so hard. So after the cops leave, the vampires hold a trial for Nick, and he is found guilty and he's banished indefinitely. Plus, he has to suffer the procession of shame.
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 Bad
Shame.
vampire.
Shame.
Which, if you have never seen this, you need to go watch the movie. I cannot do it justice. So Nick and Stu leave because Nick has been banished. And so now several months go by. The Unholy Masquerade Ball invitation has arrived. It's on June 6th at 6 p.m., so 666. Unfortunately, Vlad expected to be the guest of honor, but it's not him, it's the Beast.
And the guest of honor will be
Who is it? Show me.
Vladislav has just had a reaction to the information that the guest of honor will be the Beast.
So now it's the night of the ball, and they're trying to figure out their outfits. At first, Viago is dressed up as Blade, which is so funny, but they're like, you can't go as Blade. Vlad has aged horribly.
Turn around and look at him.
Just pants!
Shit,
Holy
man.
shit.
Oh, you look terrible.
And so it's implying that he, like, because the Beast is the guest of honor, he's not eating, and so he's aging, very Bram Stoker's Dracula. He says he's not going. So now we're at the ball. We see witches, zombies, ghouls, and vampires. We see that Jackie has been turned and find out that Nick is the one who did it. Nick is there and he brought stew. And then we see the Beast.
Of honor, Pauline Ivanovich. Thank you.
So the Beast is a female vampire named Pauline, who is Vlad's ex-girlfriend. And she's the one that, like, broke his spirit, and he's all bummed out because his ex-girlfriend. As everyone dances, we get one of my favorite tropes, which is the mirror shot. So they go from everybody dancing to the mirror, and it's just Stu and a zombie in the mirror. I freaking love that trope so much. Pauline is walking around the ball saying hi to everybody, and she realizes that Stu is human.
No, he's not the demon.
I'm a software analyst.
Stu,
A male witch.
kind of a
You're a male witch.
You should go dance with anyone.
So Deacon and Viago go to Nick, and they're like, we got to get him out of here. They're all going to kill him.
Let him just go fuck himself. Nick, it is your fault, okay? You brought a human into this den of vampirousness.
Pauline announces to the group that Stu is human. You're not supposed to bring humans among supernatural creatures. So then she's like, Stu, what do you do? And so he starts to explain that he's essentially a software analyst.
Basically, we take like business requirements from organizations and we analyze those requirements and then we build software to fit those requirements.
He is a virgin. He's a virgin.
And Pauline's like, he's a virgin. He's a virgin. So now they know, like, he's really, really in trouble. And so the vampires and the creatures start to surround Stu when Vlad arrives to fight Pauline.
Hello, Beast.
Hello, asshole.
Hey, don't call me asshole.
Don't call me Beast. This is
In the fight, we learn it's forbidden for one vampire to kill another, so there's another one of our rules. Just when it looks like Vlad is in trouble, Pauline's boyfriend is staked from behind by Stu with like a flagpole. So Stu and Vlad and Deacon and Viago and Nick all run out of the ball. And on their way home, the vampires come across the werewolves in the park, and they're chaining themselves to trees because it's a full moon and they're about to shift. But it's too late.
Get the camera out of my face! Let's go, come on!
The werewolves start to shift. Some of the cameramen are killed, as well as Stu.
Get off me! Stu, you alright?
So the vampires are able to like fly up, but the cameramen and Stu get killed. So now it's been a little while. The vampires are grieving Stu. They're so depressed. And then we get a voicemail from Nick, and he says, I'm coming by with a surprise. And when he shows up, it's Stu, who is now a werewolf. And then we get this cheesy reenactment, which is so funny.
Werewolf guys eventually found me and they had they like lent me some pants
So Nick and Stu have brought the wolf pack over to the vampire's place. They're going to try and get along. They're going to try and be friends. And then we also see that Viago has turned 96-year-old Catherine into a vampire.
I'm enjoying it.
Some people freak out a bit about the age difference. They think, what's this 96-year-old lady doing with a guy 4 times her age? And, I don't care.
It doesn't make any difference.
No.
And they're going to be together forever because they're in love. And then we get credits. And then we get like some in-credit scenes. So we learn that Vlad and Paulina are back together and they're fighting. And we learn that Jackie has made her husband her familiar. So good. Oh my God, so good. I love this movie so much. Okay, so we don't really need to talk about tropes because I talked about them all throughout this movie. I hit on all the tropes that they show us, and I'm sure I missed stuff. So just want you to know, like, I purposefully left some stuff out because I want you to enjoy the movie if you've never seen it. I tried to hit the big vampire stuff that was important, but I didn't want to hit on everything because if you don't know the movie, I really, really want you to go watch it. But this is a prime example of them using the tropes for comedy. That's the whole point of the whole thing. It's kind of like when we watched Dracula Dead and Loving It. Like, the tropes are the comedy. That's why they're there. Let us rate the vampires, shall we? How sexy or alluring are the vampires of What We Do in the Shadows, the movie? They do have sex, but they do not have any kind of special allure. So they're not gonna walk in like in Dracula 2000 where all the women turn and stare at them. They actually have to work really hard to get attention. So they're kind of like the opposite of alluring. We are going to give them the honorary point. We will give them one for having sex. We see Vlad with multiple women in the beginning, so we'll give him an extra one for that. Viago has loved one woman for 70 years, so we're going to throw a point on for loyalty amongst some of them. And we're going to give them one because you stay the age that you were turned, so that puts them like right in the middle of the road. 5 out of 10 onks for sexiness and allure, and that feels right. That feels like right in the middle of the road feels right to me.
You're mid. Oh! Round of applause for your opinion. I don't give a fuck.
How scary or evil are the vampires of What We Do in the Shadows, the movie? Okay, so they are bound by the sun. They're repelled by crosses, but they can shift. They can fly, they can mesmerize. They were able to evade shifted werewolves, which is very impressive. They do have to feed nightly, and everything we see implies that they kill their victims. So they kill a lot of people. They have familiars to help them during the day. We know that there's 60 or 70 just in Wellington, so that tells me the numbers are pretty impressive. You need the full embrace to turn, so that does control the numbers, but there doesn't appear to be a rule against turning children. So we see child vampires. So there's a rule about vampires not being able to kill other vampires and keeping it a secret, but it looks like you're allowed to turn kids, which is pretty dark. So we're gonna ask ourselves, are they more scary than sexy? 100% yes. So I'm giving them 7 out of 10 stakes to the heart for scariness and evil. My thoughts. Listen. There is a reason why the Vampire Professor and I put this movie in like our top 3, okay? This is absolutely a masterpiece when it comes to vampire cinema. It uses all the tropes in the most hilarious way. It asks and answers the question about how would vampires survive in modern times? What would it mean for them to live now in our times? It's one of those movies that you can watch with someone who doesn't necessarily love vampires because it's still funny. Everyone understands the basics of vampires. So everyone will get the basic comedy in here. But then for those of us that love vampires, there's so many references to catch. There's references from Bram Stoker's Dracula, Bela Lugosi's Dracula, Interview with the Vampire, Lost Boys, Blade, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Twilight, and even Vlad Tepes. The references are everywhere. As a fan of vampires, I love that the rules are laid out so cleanly for you and then they're built on, which I love. This is one of those movies that 100% was made by somebody who loves vampires. They knew their rules. They sat down, they're like, okay, what are our vampires gonna be like? And they stuck to it. And that's what's so important about these worlds is, yes, it's a comedy, yes, it's fun, but also you gotta know your vampires, right? So you gotta know all these little things like, can they eat? Can they drink? How do they kill? What are their fangs? Can they be in this? Like, you have to answer all these questions, and they did, which I loved. So if you have never seen this movie, unfortunately, it is not streaming anywhere right now. Thankfully, I have it on DVD. I highly recommend you find a way to watch it. If you have a DVD player, just order it on DVD. It's totally worth it. There's got to be a way for you to watch it. I don't know, find someone who has it, get them to lend it to you. There is stuff I did not share because I didn't want to ruin the entire movie. And again, I don't know how much I'm gonna get to share with you guys. I really hope I can do clips for my YouTube people, for my audio people. You don't watch clips anyways. But if you were gonna come to YouTube for anything, come to YouTube for this one because it's so, so, so worth it. I mean, even just when Vlad shows up at the ball, he has the 2 humps on the top of his head, which I know is Gary Oldman's Dracula. There's just so, so, so many references. And this is another one of those movies where every person in this movie plays their part 1,000%. Even if they're only on screen for 5 seconds, they do it and they give it 100%, and that's why it works so well. So, I've said enough about that. So next week we are going to wrap up viewers' requests by doing one that was requested by multiple people, and it's Razor Blade Smile. So if you've never heard of it, I had never heard of it. So it was my first time watching it. So come back and listen to me talk about it. In the meantime, I love you guys. I'm like so ready for spring. I wish you wicked hugs and bloody kisses. Good evening.
And big finish. Thank you.